2023 is almost here, and with it we can expect yet another annual iPhone upgrade. Can you believe there's almost a year until the iPhone 15 series, but we already have a ton of interesting leaks to talk about that basically tell us exactly what to expect from the new iPhones. Well, if you're interested in learning what the iPhone 15 series will do differently and in general what to expect, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. You know how Samsung has the Galaxy S22 Ultra, but Apple has the iPhone 14 Pro Max? Well, apparently Apple wants to get in on that Ultra name because according to Bloomberg's Max Gurman, next year's iPhone 15 Pro Max may actually be called the iPhone 15 Ultra. That name change also makes sense since Apple recently introduced the Apple Watch Ultra, so we'll see if this new iPhone model offers anything different like the smartwatch does. But yeah, in short, no more iPhone 14 Pro Max. Here comes the iPhone 15 Ultra. So this year's Apple iPhone 14 series consists of an iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Plus, iPhone 14 Pro, and iPhone 14 Pro Max. But only the Pro models finally dropped the notch and replaced it with what Apple calls a dynamic island, essentially an animated pill-shaped cutout. Meanwhile, the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus still have a notch, and because of that, they're way too similar to the iPhone 13. I suppose Apple did this to encourage people to get the more expensive Pro models, but at least next year might be different. Next year, according to reputable leaker Ross Young, all iPhone 15 models, not just the Pros, will also get the dynamic island, which is good news. At least all iPhones next year will finally look like their newer models. Because again, this year's iPhone 14 and 14 Plus are visually identical to their predecessors. Also, very recently, we heard rumors of an even bigger visual change for the iPhone 15. Several sources have suggested that the iPhone 15 will no longer feature a flat-edge design, but rounded corners, possibly similar to how the iPhone 5C was, which was a beautiful phone, not gonna lie. If this is true, it will be a welcome design change, because although I personally love this flat-edge iPhone design we have today, it's been like this since the iPhone 12. So maybe it's about time to freshen things up with a few changes. This might be the most popular change we're expecting. The iPhone 15 will most likely switch to having a USB Type-C port instead of Lightning. Finally, several reputable leakers and insiders such as Mark Gurman and Min-Chi Kuo have said that all iPhone 15 models will have USB Type-C ports. Although the base 2 models will only feature USB 2 speeds, the same speeds the Lightning port has. Will the more expensive Pro and Ultra models will have USB 3.2 or Thunderbolt 3. Those faster speeds would be pretty handy for transferring large ProRes files. Now, Apple's switch from its own Lightning port to the universal USB Type-C isn't exactly by choice. It was enforced by the European Parliament, but now even US senators are calling for Apple to stop forcing people to buy different chargers and just let them use one USB Type-C charger. So yeah, Lightning was essentially already killed on modern iPads this year, since now even the budget 2022 iPad uses USB Type-C, and next year the iPhones will get the same treatment. As someone who uses all kinds of devices like tablets, laptops, wireless earbuds, Android phones and iPhones, I'm definitely happy that the end of Lightning is near, so I'll no longer have to carry different cables to charge all my stuff. In typical Apple fashion, the Cupertino company will once again encourage you to buy the more expensive iPhone 15 models if you want flagship features such as 120Hz displays. According to Ross Young, and this is definitely not surprising news, the base iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will still only have 60Hz displays, even though they're considered flagship phones, and most flagships have moved to twice the refresh rate by now. To be fair, not everyone cares about 120Hz, but still those phones aren't getting any cheaper. But we'll talk about price later. We don't have the exact display specs for the iPhone 15 series yet, but it's more than reasonable to expect exactly the same screen sizes and exactly the same OLED display technology. So nothing special here, for now. The iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will once again have slower processors, the A16, compared to the Pro and Ultra, which will be powered by a new A17 Bionic chip. Again, no surprise here, it's pretty typical for Apple to give the base 2 model slightly older specs. We've also heard rumors that all 4 iPhone 15 models will share a Qualcomm modem, even though Apple did try to start making its own modems, but apparently that didn't work out, so Qualcomm it is. Another upgrade to expect is a jump to 8GB of RAM for the Pro and Ultra models, while the 15 and 15 Plus are likely to keep using 6GB of RAM. Leaks so far agree that the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus models will continue having 2 cameras on the back, while the Pro and Ultra models will have additional cameras. The iPhone 15 Pro is expected to have a triple camera system, with the third lens being a 3x zoom one. The iPhone 15 Ultra, on the other hand, is expected to get a 5x or a 10x periscope style zoom camera, the first ever on an iPhone. We don't yet know whether that camera will replace the currently used 3x zoom lens, or whether it will come as an additional fourth rear camera. But yeah, this would be a nice upgrade and a notable change from what we have today. When it comes to the battery sizes of the iPhone 15 models, we don't expect any notable changes. To be fair, even though Apple calls its phones all-day devices, we feel that with moderate use, the iPhone 14 Plus and Pro Max could be used for 2 days between charges, with only the smaller models actually being single-day ones, so the battery life is already pretty good. But faster charging speeds would be nice. Will Apple increase the iPhone 15's charging speeds now that the phones will be using USB-C charging? We don't have high hopes, but it's reasonable to expect around 20W charging speeds on the cheaper models and 30W charging speeds on the two more expensive models. We recently did an iPhone 14 Pro charging speed test with 3 different chargers, so check that one out if you're interested in learning more about exactly how fast the current iPhones charge. And yeah, we hope that the iPhone 15 will be a bit faster, which is a reasonable thing to expect. The iPhone 15 series is likely to be unveiled to the world on September 12th, 2023 and released the following week on Friday, September 22nd. We know this because Apple's annual release schedule has been pretty consistent for years now. As for the price of next year's iPhones, it's too early for predictions, but based on what we've seen from Apple in recent years, we can expect the same prices. This means a $799 starting price for the iPhone 15, $899 for the bigger 15 Plus, $1099 for the Pro, and $1199 for the Ultra. And that's it so far. There are things to be excited about for next year's iPhones, and by the time 2023 rolls around, we might get even more leaks about them, so stay tuned to PhoneArena.com for the latest information. Subscribe here if you haven't. Leave a comment letting us know if you're excited for the iPhone 15 series and your thoughts on the move to USB Type-C, and I'll see you next time.